My name is Alyssa. I was the account executive. Our client was the Western Association of Schools and Colleges. This is the rest of my team.
Hi everyone, my name is Karen Wright.
Hi, I'm Nick Flores.
And I'm Natasha.
All right, let's get started. So just to begin with, our abbreviation that we use throughout this is WSCUC. That's kind of a mouthful, but that is the correct abbreviation for this. So a little bit of background about the Western Association of Schools and Colleges. They're a regional accrediting agency serving a diverse membership of public and private higher education throughout California, Hawaii, the Pacific, and as well as a limited number of institutions outside the United States. Our campaign's focused on their academic resource conference. They hold it every year and it moves locations throughout California. It's their biggest event of the year. They have over 1,000 attendees come and they connect and talk about challenges that they have in higher education. The last year's conference theme was called Higher Ed's Higher Purpose, Serving the Public Good. It called upon WSCUC institutions to share, highlight, and reflect on their contributions to the public and the voice of higher education to society. Next year's conference is going to be held in San Diego from April 19th through the 21st. The theme name of this conference is Mission Possible, Honoring the Past, Ensuring the Future. And specifically for the 2017 Academic Resource Conference, our team worked with the Vice President, Melanie Booth, and Educational Events Manager, Julie Kotowski, to develop a social media plan that will engage conference attendees before, during, and after the conference. The focus of the theme this year is on how colleges and universities are finding themselves challenged to hold true to the fundamental values articulated in their missions while enabling their institutions to remain relevant and sustainable now and for the future. And to figure out the best way to develop our successful plan is to look at the organizational framework of the organization. In looking at WSCUC, we figured they're a bureaucratic organization. They have very rigid and tight procedures in policies and constraints. And we looked at a sociologist, Max Weber's definition. He came up with these characteristics of a bureaucratic organization. They have clear and defined roles and responsibilities, a hierarchical structure, and respect for merit. The bottom line of WSCUC is that they have standards and you either meet them or you do not. And for our SWOT analysis, according to our textbook, it says it's necessary to form a point of view on the company and the brand's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. On the next slide is our SWOT analysis that we think best represents their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and knowing these helped us deliver a plan that best fits their needs. Some strengths are that they're a large, well-known organization. Their previous conferences were very successful with high attendance rates. They already have a small presence on social media. Some weaknesses are the attendees of the conference are generally an older population. They're not very tech savvy. It's hard to introduce multiple forms of social media for a very short amount of time. It's just for one weekend that this is going to be used. And existing social media accounts have a very small number of followers. Some opportunities are new social media features and constant upgrades to social media sites. We are possibly able to gain a new key audience and a new type of attendees, those who are millennial, a little bit younger, and are tech savvy. Some threats are not having applications or websites accessible on phones, tablets, and laptops, not being able to reach our audience, and a generally uninterested audience in using social media in general. I'm going to pass it over to Karen.
Thank you, Alyssa. Okay, so I will be taking care of the key audience, publics, and messages portion of the presentation. So according to the Academic Resource Conference's attendees list of communications, it was provided to us by WASC. It was last year's attendee information. They had a total of 1,023 attendees that attended, and out of the top 3 institutes that actually attended this was North Central University, West Coast University, as well as Cal State Fullerton. They all had about 32 representatives. Okay, so messages, there's 5 different dimensions that they want to cover at this conference. So once you would actually be attending this conference, which will be April 19th through the 21st. The messages that they want to focus on for track 1 is the mission of student learning. So pretty much how do students learn, the learning outcomes, the degrees, the programs that we have. This being an example of one of them. How is this all relevant to the institution's mission statements? so that's going to be covered in track 1. Track 2 covers the student engagement, programs, and mission fulfillment. There's always challenges associated with it, and how do they plan on overcoming them? So track 3 the message involves faculty engagement and mission fulfillment. So how is the culture or understanding of what it means to be a faculty member changed? So I don't know if you guys could relate, but back I guess in high school and compared to now, a lot has changed in terms of just using technology. Now we're more gearing towards online courses, so a lot is changing, and that also includes the roles of a faculty member. So what tools or resources have helped will be covered for track 3. Track 4 is the impact of higher education landscapes on the institutional mission. So pretty much technology, making it more technology-based, learning about technology. And track 5 would be the impact of accreditation plus regulations. So the track 5 pretty much involves, I guess that there's always power struggles that happen between an institution and an accrediting organization. So what roles do they play? So what role does trust between an institution and accrediting organization play in regulations? Okay, so this right here is a chart. We actually received this information from Melanie. So this year, what they're trying to do is they want to keep it to about 1,000 attendees, 1,200 max, just because of the capacity. And so pretty much why do staff, faculty members, deans dedicate their time to come to this conference? And they wanted to have some feedback, so they did receive a lot of feedback. It was 394 people who were representatives did the feedback for this, and a majority of them, as you can see from here, it's 77%, said that the reason why they came to this conference was because they wanted to learn about new techniques of learning, teaching, and assessment. And obviously faculty, staff members, deans, they're still human at the end of the day. So if you look at this chart, the second closest was to network and just to pretty much mingle with other colleagues and get to know other professors and faculty members at other institutions. So this is a graph for anyone who's more of a visual learner. So those were the main reasons that they were there. So it was more for innovative purposes. Okay, I'm going to pass it on to Nick.
Thank you. All right, so some of our main goals and objective. The main objective of our campaign was, as Alyssa said earlier, is to develop a social media plan that will engage the audience and the conference attendees before, during, and after the conference, using multiple social media networking sites. The main goal of our campaign was to set up a step-by-step plan for the next class, 2017 Practical Advantage, so then they can execute it correctly. The main strategies we use to reach these goals and objectives is have an organized schedule, be on point, have a timetable so we can stay accurate with all of what we need to get done prior to the conference, and then using social media in a way to promote staff members and to increase the interest of target audience. The tactics we used, we decided to create some social media profiles. We think that's the best way to approach it for volunteers, using LinkedIn, Facebook, kind of have picture, description, hobbies. It also promotes opportunities for the volunteers, lets them, there are other people who are looking in that career path, know about them and what they're about, and that they're part of this conference. We decided it would be a good idea to create a photo collage, a video trailer, to highlight past conferences, get the hype going, because they didn't want more attendees, they just want it to be really amped up. They want people to enjoy it more, be more interested, and more interactive. And then create a consistent schedule for Twitter updates, Facebook, LinkedIn, just to stay connected to the audience, keep them involved, keep them coming back. So the tools, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, promote specific workshops, speakers, and key moments of the conference. Use social media to introduce WSCUC as an organization and its members, and then creating a trailer video to show and attract others to the event by using an app called Magisto. Really easy. We're going to show you a trailer in a bit. And we used, to make that trailer, we utilized past conference information and photos to promote the event. So we'll play this trailer really quick.
In the golden hour, breaking
over to Natasha.
Okay, so resources, because this is a social media plan, we have no budget because we're only doing research. And then for the idea resources, we use future teams will use TimeFox, the existing social media accounts such as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, like Nick said earlier, and then the app called Magisto that we just showed the video clip. And then the possible challenges for future teams would be the weak social media accounts, like Alyssa said earlier, and the SWOT analysis, and then the limited amount of time. Even though it's 18 weeks, people still, we will rush and things like that, so they will not have enough time. And then the unfamiliarity with the organization. Calendar. My team previously said we made a timetable for future teams to execute the plan. We use Microsoft Excel because it's convenient and simple. I mean, how many of you here knows how to use the Excel program? Everyone knows. In the timetable, we have the dates and times, the social media account, the images, hashtags, and the topics of postings. The topics must bring value to followers or audience because we want them to be engaged with the organization. We want them to know what we do and how we do it and when the conference is. And then when it's going to start on the second week of spring semester, January 23rd, and then the end is going to be the second to last week of spring semester, May 11th. And this is because we want to get the responses from the attendees. We want to know how they think about the conference. The intensity we're going to gradually increase from twice a week to 5 times a week because we don't want to overwhelm the followers and we want them, however, during the conference week, we want them to stay tuned. Next, the change of plans. From the beginning, we intend to do a survey, but our client said no. And then the frequency of postings, like I said earlier, we wanted to do every other day, but this may overwhelm followers. Also, the attendees, we plan to measure their excitement on the conference, but because we don't really have that much of time, so we weren't able to figure out how. But we suggest to use the Facebook invite page so people, so WSCUC can know how many people are coming to their conference. And lastly, Snapchat. We plan to use Snapchat before, but because it's not the best platform for businesses, so we're sticking to LinkedIn. And this is our TimeFox updates. We spent a total of 211 hours and a total of $174. Campaign outcomes. We originally intend to create a timeline for future teams, in which we did. We also plan to have a research on social media because we want to know when's the best time to post and then what to post. And this research is applied to the timeline we created. And lastly, the video clip, which Nick showed earlier. The unintended, like I said just now, we wanted to use Snapchat, but however, it's not the best, so we stick to LinkedIn. And then lastly, our client decided not to continue. And I'm passing on to Karen.
Okay, so pretty much just to conclude it. Okay, so in terms of measurements, assessments, and evaluation, this isn't until next semester that they're actually doing it. So until then, all we can really do is post social media comments. So it's pretty much a social media campaign. In terms of last year, they did have an 80% success rate. The people that did attend were really glad that they did. So it was very informative. It is very structured. It's a structured organization, obviously. So, I mean, in terms of helping other staff, faculty members, just learn more about what's going on in terms of accreditation. So that's what they're focusing on. 80% is a pretty good success rate of people who were glad that they attended. Hopefully they can raise that. And also, as long as they keep doing their overall conference evaluations, it'll be a great way of measuring who was satisfied with being a part of this conference and how they can